Hey everyone, we are here with Paulo Rodrigues from QMENTA, and today we're going to talk a little bit about the project and the investment round that QMENTA has with Capital Cell. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
For this chat. Basically, previously you've been explaining me a little bit about QMENTA. I understand that it's a technology based on artificial intelligence that analyzes images and therefore precisely detects brain diseases. It can predict brain diseases. And then you used a very nice way of explaining it by saying that it's basically like Google Maps for brain, no?
Yeah.
So go ahead, explain us a little
exactly.
bit. Yeah.
So it's imagining what Google Maps is, right? Like you have a map, and anybody can zoom in and start seeing more detail or see how the connections are, if there's any problems in the traffic or not. It's kind of the idea, but for the brain. So what we do is our software takes the images, medical images like magnetic resonance or other kinds of images that are uploaded to our software in the cloud. And there also we have a series of algorithms like artificial intelligence algorithms that map the brain. So like they kind of can extract a map of how is my brain connected, how is it different than yours, or if there's any problems like any holes in some connections like in multiple sclerosis. So really the objective is to quantify information that is provided by the images, but making it very simple and very easy to use by the doctors, by the neurologists or radiologists. So that's why it's like what Google Maps did for maps, and anybody is very easy to find me the way from point A to B. It's kind of that, but for medical images, making it very easy and accessible to spot the issues.
But so basically it's artificial tools connected with cloud software, if you would explain. Maybe you can tell me a little bit about what is it that differentiates you from your competitors in the market, because I understand that there are others that are doing similar.
So in this field there are other companies that do part of what we do, well, in a way. So there are companies, what we call imaging biomarker companies, that have a specific algorithm. So one tool that measures something in the brain for a disease like Alzheimer, for instance. And there are some companies like that. So what we do is we're even partnering with these companies, because in our cloud software, in our infrastructure, the end user, the doctors, they can use all of these algorithms through our platform. So that's what these companies are lacking, because they have an algorithm but not an infrastructure, a channel to bring it to the doctors. And on the other side, there are other kind of companies that are more like IT solutions, so a way to store medical images, pictures of the brain in these computers. But on that side, they are lacking the algorithms. So what's unique with our solutions, like one single solution that puts together the platform, so the data management or the image workflows with the algorithms. And we also create our own algorithms, because we have the experience and the expertise in neuroimaging, in AI. And the third thing that I would say is quite unique as well is like through our collaborations we have amassed a critical, huge database of brain scans. So we have 6 million that puts us still in the front of the competition, because we have very rich, high quality images that we can use to validate and create new algorithms for them.
Right. Wow. But can you tell me a little bit about the market? I know that you mentioned the global market is 14 billion in US and Europe in general. So
yeah, and that's just on clinical care. So
just on clinical care.
Yeah, there are two segments that we are targeting in medical imaging and in brain, in neurology. One is clinical trials and the other is clinical care. So in clinical trials, we are talking about a market size of 8 billion euros in Europe and US. And this, to give an idea, there's more than 4,000 new trials every year in these two sites, just on the brain and just handling images.
Right.
So that's a very big market, although it's more volatile, but we are already selling there. Then what we're talking about, the clinical care, so the hospital selling to a hospital that has the experts, where they can use these tools to help their patients. We're talking about 14 billion market size in Europe and US, and to give an idea as well, there's 80 million MRI scans being done every year just for the brain. So there's other modalities, so that's why it's like it's very big, and the amount of, unfortunately, the amount of patients is just increasing. Everybody's living longer, so Alzheimer, Parkinson are becoming really big issues in healthcare.
What is your approach in the market?
So our strategy has been to first start working in clinical research. So we are doing that in first year since 2013, to work with the key opinion leaders, with the experts in Alzheimer and multiple sclerosis. Not only for the validation of our software, but also the high quality images that we could use or that we can use from those collaborations, but also the reputation.
Okay.
So that allows us to get embedded into clinical trials that we are now actively selling, especially this year. So in Alzheimer, in brain tumors, in different applications. And while we were taking care also of like the compliance and other standards that we need to follow for our software. And then what we're doing now as well is the transition or the expansion into the clinical care market, so the hospitals. So taking that some of these algorithms, of our own algorithms or partners, can be used in a hospital to help in the decision of the patients. So we've been structuring like that by working with the experts, and that allows us to get embedded like increasing.
And then, speaking of which, maybe you could tell me a little bit about what is the business model? How does QMENTA make money? Hospitals are those that are interested in the product, obviously.
Yeah, it's one of the sectors. So there are two markets essentially, or two segments: clinical trials and clinical care. So the hospitals, the daily care. Essentially, it's what we do is a fee per image analysis, so like for analyzing an image from a patient. The difference, like in a clinical trial, it's well defined. It has a certain duration, 1, 2, 3 years, and an amount of patients, 100,000 patients. So it's very defined what the amount of work that we can be done in the platform. So we bundle all of this together and has like provide a quote, so like a single price for the whole trial. So that's very easy also for the clinical trial because another line in their budget. The difference then in clinical care in hospitals that it becomes a recurrent fee. So like they have a hospital has a few hundred patients every month, and we charge accordingly. So it's a subscription per month or per year that then basically relates to the volume. So we offer volume discounts to make it more fitting.
Okay, interesting. Okay, perfect. Please tell me a little bit about your team. I know that Walter Gilbert, who is a Nobel Prize winner in chemistry, is an investor and an advisor at QMENTA.
Yeah, I met him actually a couple of years ago, 3 or 4 years ago in Boston in an event. And no, it's great as an advisor, so he's helping us and that energy of he's also co-founder of Biogen, like one of the founders of gene sequencing. So all what he saw like being born then for the genome project and everything that came out, and I think what's fitting is like he felt that like now is the connectome, the time of the connectome. So it's very interesting to have these discussions with him, and he's an investor, so it's always helping. But besides that, also I'm very honored to have him, but to have Chris Llewellyn as well. For instance, is the global head of digital healthcare and AI from McKinsey, global consulting. Several other angels as well, but also I'm very proud of our team. We have 29 people. He's very international, 9, 8, 10 nationalities, and so also the different experiences and expertise. So I have neuroimaging, PhDs, AI, software, marketing, sales, like all the different sectors, but everybody like very capable, of course, but expert and very passionate about what we're doing. It's like we're all working together towards the conquest of the brain, this challenge, and that's very rewarding. Yeah,
for sure. What would you say is the future of QMENTA? How will investors return their money?
Yeah, so very good question. So a bit of history is just one step back. It's like in 2017 we had our seed round. So that was a price round. It was a 3 million round at 8 million pre-money, just to give a context where we are. So now with this bridge round, the goal is to take us the expansion, our bigger expansion in clinical care markets, and our plan is in 1 year to do a Series A of 12 million. So that means typically that in that moment of a Series A, if there's VC especially, there's a possibility for an exit from previous investors. So if that happens and people exit, we estimated 2 times the return of their investment from now. But our goal, our plan is to, in 3-4 years, to reach a 300 million valuation, and that moment it's very feasible that we can go public. So if in that case, then we're talking about 12 times return for investors from now. And there's other possibilities, of course, possible mergers with the big software giants or the vendors. So there's possible exits out there, but that's our ambition.
But in terms of sales, QMENTA is mostly concentrated in US right now, or?
Yeah, so 80-20, so about 80% is in US.
Right.
In clinical trials, there's also a fairly good presence in Europe and in research. But as we're expanding in clinical care, it's one single market. It's very big, and there's reimbursement goals. So that's our strategic focus is on US. Although there's lots of market here as well.
And your main focus is on clinical trials in US, no? This is where the revenue comes from, if I'm right.
At the moment, we are in transition. So we still have inbound deals from consortiums and more clinical research, but clinical trials market is expanding right now. We're actively selling, and while we are entering, we have already a couple of very big institutions in US to use our algorithms in a clinical care setting. So that's actually part of the reason why we're doing a bridge round, is to take 2 of our algorithms for the FDA 510K approval that we expect to have in the beginning of next year. So then we expand our offer in clinical care. So then that's the US presence, or the US market is even going to be more important or bigger in next year. But both markets are fairly equal, but it's more fragmented in Europe. So it's more effective right now to do it in US.
I see. Okay, so QMENTA currently has more than 180 investors through Capital Cell. The campaign will be active for more than 30 days approximately. You can invest through the platform of Capital Cell. And thank you very much. We will be happy to put you in touch with the QMENTA team in case you have any questions. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It would be a pleasure to answer any questions and to welcome you to join our Conquest of the Brain.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.